Hey guys, it's late. I had a weird day. Not gonna go into it. So I didn't get to start the sorting cards till late. And at first I figured, alright, I've only got one box of Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, and I'm starting to sort through it. I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be a Royal PETA because there are so many split colored cards, and there's 4 different expansions to sort into. So I'm like, screw it, I'll sort my uncards. So you can see where I started sorting some Lorwyn, but and I swapped over to uncards. The unsets were kind of fun, non-tournament legal. They had some really nice lands. There's Unhinged and there's Unglued. It was the first real appearance of full art lands. People liked them. The people would buy booster packs and then resell the lands for the purchase price of the booster pack. That's how popular the lands were. You had a couple of things going on. We had the using dice in Unglued. Here we have Elvish Impersonators. When he comes into play, you roll 2 6-sided dice. One's his power, one's his toughness. There were a couple other cards like that. There was a take on Wheel of Fortune called Strategy Smategy. They had a couple of interesting things going on. They had the physical humor angle. Basically, you have to do something physical with your cards, like you had Knights of the Hokey Pokey. You dance the Hokey Pokey to prevent damage to them. Volrath's motion sensor, stuff like that. So yeah, there was a fair amount of physical humor involved in it. You had the various double spells, which would have an effect in-game, and then it would have that effect at the beginning of the next game you played with that opponent. Which was kind of interesting. And each of them had a bit of flavor text that carried on from the next to the next to the next. And I never got the full cycle, so I don't really know what it says. Maybe one day I'll look it up. Clams were a bit of an homage to the Homerids, which nobody really liked. Amazingly enough, the clam creatures also no one liked. There's a big chicken theme going on. Here we have the free-range chicken. What else do we have? We also have the Chief Stands Alone, minor variation of which was printed in Future Sight as Baron Glory. Some of the other things we had going on here. The physical humor angle was brought a little bit into the Unhinged set, but made several years later. But one of the things they did with it is they had a lot of cards that were dependent upon something on the player. Like you had things like Moniker Mage that had abilities that required you to know like your opponent's middle name, or Avatar of Me. I've got a foil one in here, whose power and toughness were based upon the height and shoe size of its controller. Okay, so that's fun stuff. We had this card, whose name is, our market research shows that players like really long card names, so we made this card to have the absolute longest card name ever, Elemental. Yeah. When Fluffy Bunnies attack, it's got a dragon coming out of his lair surrounded by a ginormous flock of white rabbits. Back when I was in AIT in the Army, it was a training environment, I changed the wallpapers on computers in the rec room areas to when Fluffy Bunnies attack. It's kind of cute and funny. Cheaty Face, the card that actually said, yes, cheat. Asses were a theme going on in Unhinged. You had a bunch of ass creatures. You had a removal card called Ass Whoopin'. The gotcha mechanic, whenever your opponent says a certain word, depending on the card in particular, you can say gotcha and return that card to your hand from the graveyard. They had a bunch of Artist Matters cards. They had Circle of Protection art. When it came to play, you named an artist. and you could prevent damage dealt by artists. For Stroke Painter Mage, target perms artist becomes the artist of your choice until end of turn. I wonder how the artists felt about that one. You got people sitting there like, I don't know, let's see, Bradley Williams, for example. I wonder how Bradley Williams would feel about being turned into Rebecca Guay. You know, just on an off thing, you know. Letterbomb. Letterbomb was an interesting card. You would put your name on it. I obviously never did that. And you shuffle it into your opponent's deck. Amazingly enough, Letterbomb was the playtest name for the Tempest card, Booby Trap. The problem is that they came to the conclusion that they really couldn't print it as Letterbomb. Because it required you to shuffle your card into your opponent's deck and blah blah this, that, the other. So it was also create all sorts of weirdness and confusion, and they didn't want to have to deal with that. Especially seeing as how there's, you know, pretty much one of the basic rules of game design in Magic is that players can't have their opponent's cards in their hand or in their deck or their graveyard. It just doesn't work that way. It's asking for problems. Then we also have Old Fogey, who I just noticed today uses the original card frame. Never noticed that before. So if you look at all of these other uncards, you might notice his card frame matches the older card frame, but not the modern. Well, that's a good bad example. Not the modern card frame. So yeah, it's fun stuff. You know, unsets are one of those things that I always wish I had more of because they're amusing. I like them. It's probably rolling around time WotC print another one. Come on, guys. Oh well. Get all this filed away. Have a good night, fellas.